Good morning, children. So, in the previous session, we discussed that how the Britishers they were changing the education system in India. But children, have you any one of you thought? Do you have any idea how children were taught in the pre-British time? And have you ever wondered whether they went to schools or not? And if schools were there, what happened to those schools in the British rule? Because Britishers were expanding, they were giving their own ideologies. So, what happened to it? So, in our today's session, we'll be studying about that. In 1830, children, William Adam, a Scottish missionary, he was sent to the districts of Bengal and Bihar. He was told by the company to report on the progress of education in vernacular schools. What were vernacular schools? Vernacular schools were the schools who were teaching in the local languages, who were teaching the people about the local sacred beliefs. So now he was sent to do a survey and find out various things regarding these vernacular schools. And the report of Adam, which was given by him, was very interesting. He found that there were over 1 lakh pathshalas in Bengal and Bihar. These were small institutions with not more than 20 students each, but the total number of children being taught in these pathshalas was considerable, over 20 lakh. 1 lakh total pathshalas were there. हर पाठशाला में 20 students होते थे. And entirely अगर हम as a whole बात करें तो 20 lakh students were studying in these pathshalas. And these institutions, these pathshalas, were set up by wealthy people or the local community, and at times they were started by a teacher who was known as Guru. The system of education was so flexible. Flexible means जिसमें आप कभी भी changes कर सकते हो. So few things that you associate with schools today were present in the pathshalas at that time. Something was same and something was not. So there was no fixed fee like you have nowadays. No printed books were there. कोई separate buildings नहीं होती थी. No benches or chairs, no blackboards, no system of separate classrooms, no attendance registers, annual examinations, no regular timetable like you people have nowadays. And in some places, the classes were held to be under a banyan tree, and in other places in the corner of a village shop or a temple, and sometimes at the teacher's home also. And अब fee fixed नहीं थी, तो what would have been the fee structure? तो fee depended upon the income of the parents. The rich one would pay more than the poor one. Books were not there, तो पढ़ाते कैसे थे? तो teaching was there in the oral form. Whatever the guru decided to teach, it was taught according to the requirements of the students. Students were not separated out into different classes. All of them sat together in one place. ऐसे first, second, third, fourth ऐसी classes नहीं होती थी. The guru interacted separately with groups of children with different levels of learning. Now Adam discovered that this flexible system was suited to local needs. जो local people हैं उनके लिए ये flexible system it was very nice because classes were not held during the harvest time. क्योंकि जब harvesting season होता था तो the rural people they wanted their children to help them in harvesting. तो उस time पे the schools were shut down so that the children of peasants family could also study. Harvest time के time school बंद हो जाते थे, and after the ending of harvest season the schools of again reopened. So this flexible system was very well suited to the local people. Now up in the mid 19th century, the company, after changing the higher education, now they turned to the primary education. 1854 में after they were done with the changes in the higher education, now they have turned to the primary education. अभी तक primary education was going on according to the people's wish without any interference, but now they decided to improve the system of vernacular education also. It felt that it could be only done by introducing order within the system, because वो flexible system था तो हम इसको inflexible करके ही प्रॉपर कर सकते हैं by imposing regular routines, establishing rules and ensuring regular inspections. Now, how was this to be done? What measures did the company take? So let's see. It appointed a number of government pundits, each in charge of looking after 4 to 5 schools. 4 से 5 स्कूल का एक इंचार्ज बना दिया. And task of the pandit was to visit each and every pathshala under him and try and improve the standard of teaching. Each guru was asked to submit periodic reports and take classes according to regular timetables. Teaching was now to be based on textbooks and learning was to be tested through a system of annual examination. And students were asked to pay a regular fee, attend regular classes, sit on fixed seats, and obey the new rules of discipline. Now, Pathshalas which accepted the new rules were supported through government grants, whereas those who were unwilling to work within the new system received no government support. Over time, the gurus who wanted to retain their independence found it difficult to compete with the government aided and regulated pathshalas because one, those who were supported by the government was going very well. The new rules and routines, they had other consequences also. Like in the earlier system I discussed with you कि जो poor peasant families थी, they have been able to send their children to the school, to the pathshalas, because the timetable was flexible. But the discipline of the new system demanded regular attendance even during the harvest time, when the children of poor families have to work in the fields. And inability to attend the school came to be seen as indiscipline, as evidence to the lack of desire to learn. So this fixed system was creating a lot of problem for the local people. Now, children, the British officers were not the only people thinking about education in India. From the early 19th century, many thinkers from different parts of the world of India, they also begin to talk about the need of the spreading of education. Impressed with the developments in Europe, some Indians felt that Western education would help modernize India. They urged Britishers, they requested Britishers to open more and more schools, colleges, and universities and spend more money on education, which you will be reading in the further chapters. And there were other Indians also who reacted against this education, who was not in the favor of Western education. Mahatma Gandhi and Rabindranath Tagore were two such individuals who were against the westernization of education. So now let us look what they too had to say. First, let's look for Mahatma Gandhi's view. So Mahatma Gandhi argued that colonial education, Western education, was creating a sense of inferiority in the minds of Indians, क्योंकि Indians को ऐसा लग रहा था कि जो हमारा Indian culture है, it is so inferior to the Europe one. It made them see Western education as superior and it was destroying the respect of the Indian culture. They were leaving their own culture behind, disrespecting it and accepting some another foreign culture. So there was poison in this education, said Mahatma Gandhi. It was sinful. It has enslaved Indians. It cast an evil spell on them. Charmed by the West, appreciating everything that come from the West, Indians educated in these institutions begin admiring British rule. और वेस्ट की जो चार्म है, जो ग्लोरी है, उससे अट्रैक्ट होके they have started appreciating Britishers. Mahatma Gandhi wanted an education which would help Indians to rediscover their self-respect. And during the national movement also, he urged the students to leave these educational institutions to show Britishers that Indians are not willing to be slaves of Britishers. He strongly felt that Indian languages should be the medium of teaching. Education in English has crippled Indians, distanced them from their own social surroundings, and made them strangers in their own land. And speaking of foreign tongue and despising the local culture, the English educated did not know how to relate to masses. Western education, Mahatma Gandhi said, it just focus on reading and writing rather than oral language. It has always valued textbooks rather than the practical knowledge, the experience of life that you gain. He argued that education is to develop a person's mind and soul. The literacy, a simple learning, a simple thing to read and write by itself is not counted as education. People had to work with their hands, learn a craft, and know how different things operated. This would develop their mind and their capacity to learn, but only learning to read and write is never termed as education. You can never say it as a education. And as the nationalist sentiment spread, other thinkers also started begin to think this education system which would be radically different from the setup which was given by the Britishers. This was about Mahatma Gandhi. Then there was another thinker, Rabindranath Tagore. Many of you would have heard about Shanti Niketan. You all have heard about Shanti Niketan. But have you ever wondered, or do you know who established it, why, and by whom it was established? So, children, Rabindranath Tagore was the founder of Shanti Niketan. He started an institution in 1901. But why? Let's find out. So, children, as a child, Tagore hated going to school. He never liked to go to school. He found that school as suffocating and oppressive. The school appeared like a prison to him because for he could never do that like what he felt like doing, क्योंकि जो वो करना चाहते थे स्कूल में वो कभी कर नहीं पाते थे. So while other children listened to the teacher, he always was wandering, his mind was always wandering in other areas. And the experience of his school days in Calcutta shaped Tagore's idea of education. When he grew up, he wanted to set up a school where child was happy, free, creative, where he could do whatever he want to, where he was able to explore his own thoughts and desires. Tagore felt that childhood was a time of self learning outside the fixed discipline of schooling system that was introduced by the Britishers. He said that कि childhood एक ऐसा time है when a child learn by doing activities on his own rather than the fixed textbooks. और जो teachers हैं they also have to be imaginative. They need to understand the child's curiosity. They need to understand what is going on in the child's mind. And according to Tagore, the existing schooling system was killing the creativeness of a child. It was killing the creativeness in the minds of that little child. So he was of the view that creative learning should be encouraged within the natural environment. So he chose to set up his school 100 kilometers away from Calcutta in a rural area. He saw it as an abode of peace which is amongst the peace of the nature, which is full of peace, where you can live in harmony with nature. You could cultivate your creativity, you could do whatever your mind thinks of. So he gave the name to his school Shanti Niketan, or the abode of peace. So now children, in so many ways Tagore and Mahatma Gandhi were similar, but however there were some differences too. Like Gandhi ji was completely against the Western civilization. It worships of machines and technology. But what Tagore wanted was, he wanted to combine both the things. He wanted to combine the elements of modern Western civilization with the one which was the best within the Indian tradition. He emphasized the need to teach science and technology at Shanti Niketan along with art, music, and dance. Many individuals and thinkers were thus thinking about the way of national education system could be fashioned. Some wanted changes within the system which was set up by the British, and some felt that the system could be extended so as to include wider sections of the people. And some others urge that alternative systems should be created so that people should be educated into a culture that was truly national. Now, who was to define what was truly national? So, debate about what is national education, it just kept on continuing till even after the independence.